Africa Update with Lulu Kabu on Channel Africa.
Now, as South Africa commemorates Youth Month, Channel Africa is highlighting youth in different fields that are making their mark. Now, today we are joined by Dr. Ansia van Coller, a Senior Scientist and Bioinformatician at the South African Medical Research Council. Now, Dr. van Coller, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Africa Update.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Now, tell us what exactly a bioinformatician is and what do you do?
So for a bioinformatician, right, so I work with DNA and genetic data to try and help understand health and disease. So my work specifically includes developing computational tools, pipelines, and algorithms to help understand genetic data, to interpret it. This can help us to diagnose rare diseases, for instance, and track disease outbreaks, and even study biodiversity.
And how important is genomics, especially in the African context?
So I think genomics is incredibly important in Africa. So Africa is home to the richest genetic diversity in the world, so both in terms of our people and in nature. But much of the global research efforts have kind of overlooked Africa. And so a lot of our healthcare and medical treatments aren't necessarily designed with our unique genetic diversity in mind. And so by investing in improving genomic research in Africa, we can improve the diagnosis of rare diseases, we can personalize treatments, and we can even track how infectious diseases spread through our communities. Can also play a big role in food security and biodiversity conservation. And yeah, all in all, it allows us to find more relevant and inclusive solutions to some of our African problems.
Now, you've presented your work at several international conferences. Just tell us more about them and the message you want to send to the youth.
Yes, so I have been very fortunate that I've been able to present some of my work at international conferences. In fact, the first time that I got on a plane was when I flew by myself to Germany to go present some of my recent findings from my master's. And since then, I've been fortunate to also travel to Sweden, Beijing, all these places, and these platforms are a great opportunity to share some of our, South African research on a global platform, and also bring back the knowledge that I gained from these conferences into our own space to help promote our own research. And I suppose the message that I would send to the youth is that you also belong in these spaces. You don't have to come from a wealthy background or a fancy school. If you are curious and committed and open to learning, you can also make a meaningful contribution, either local or even internationally.
And what are some of the, remarkable achievements or some projects or research studies, etc., that have been done under the SAMRC that you'd like to highlight and just for us to focus on?
So there are quite a few projects that I've been involved in. I've been quite proud to be part of. So one of those is the Primary Immunodeficiency Genetics Network, where we help to diagnose rare immunological conditions that are typically missed with typical screening. And so through this, we've been able to diagnose quite a few children, and this has impacted the treatment that they're able to receive and improve their, just their lives in general. Another project that I was working on was the wastewater surveillance project. So this started during the COVID-19 pandemic, where the SAMRC was monitoring the levels of COVID-19 in the wastewater. And so we were able to track the spread of the virus through communities, sometimes even before there was a surge in clinical cases. So this project has now evolved to looking at other infectious diseases as well, and monitoring things like antibiotic resistance, etc. The last project, I guess, that I'll mention would be the Africa Biogenome Project, which aims to generate genomic information about indigenous African species, plants and animals. And so I've been assisting on this project to kind of describe the genome of some medicinally relevant plants in Africa.
Now, let's talk very quickly as we wrap up with regards to some of the challenges that face scientists, researchers in South Africa, and how they can and need to be supported.
I suppose the biggest challenges for South African researchers and scientists is just access, access to training and funding and stable jobs. So many young scientists particularly can struggle to find long-term opportunities after they've completed their studies, and that can be quite discouraging. And there's also a big gap in available mentorship. There's lots of students and not enough people available to mentor everyone. I think support needs to come through more sustainable investment in research infrastructure and better funding opportunities for postgraduate students, as well as mentorship programs that are more inclusive to create spaces where scientists can feel valued and heard. I think that will improve the future of science in our country.
Well, Dr. van Coller, thank you so much for joining us on Africa Update today.
Thank you so much, Lulu.
That's Dr. Ansia van Coller, a senior scientist and bioinformatician at the South African Medical Research Council, joining us on the line.